Access is a problem, and people go where they can go, which is public land. That's why we ended up going to hunt public land in the first place. So I don't think the gripes are going to get any better, whether we're filming out there or not. Y'all, people got to have a place to go hunting, and I want them to have a place to go hunting. Some of that criticism is honest and good criticism that we need to hear. When we started, we got a few hundred views on a video. Now one may get 200,000. Like, that's more and more responsibility on us. We can't make mistakes, big ones in that regard, because it could potentially put way too much pressure on the resource in a small area. And trust me, we know. We lose sleep over it.
Aaron, one thing I wanted to ask you about, kind of getting to a point of wrapping up here, is y'all have a big, giant YouTube channel, and y'all go all over the place hunting, and y'all have caught flack for, spot burning or whatever people call it, and you see it on social media from time to time. I'm just curious, what's your thoughts on it? Where y'all at with that?
It bothers me to some degree. I won't lie. I mean, that kind of comes to the territory whenever you post stuff on the internet and on social media. I am all for constructive criticism. And the spot burning thing is something that we've heard some. But a few times I've heard it was from some guy on a forum that was posting pictures of the spot and like the signs of the WMAs. Like, these guys spot burn this place right here. And he showed a picture of the sign. It's like, dude, we've never filmed that sign one time for a reason. So, yeah, I mean, more people might be going to public land because they're interested in it, but you got to think about the whole pie here. The reason why we go to public land is not to be cool. It was because that was what our options were. I mean, I was talking about growing up a while ago. I had private land in that spot where Old Faithful deer stand was at. That's gone now. We lost that. We lost many other private land spots growing up for a variety of reasons. Hunting leases, recreational land, going up in value, access becoming an issue. And I thought it was just in my little pocket of Missouri where that was happening until I started traveling around the country, and I realized that's happening darn near everywhere. Access is a problem, and people go where they can go, which is public land. That's why we ended up going to hunt public land in the first place. So I don't think the gripes are going to get any better, whether we're filming out there or not. Y'all, people got to have a place to go hunting, and I want them to have a place to go hunting. And that's what hopefully, when I leave this earth, they have plenty of places to do it. And that was the problem that we saw happening, was there was no content out there representing a regular guy that was facing the same struggles that we were. It was all, it was all big tracts of private land or outfitters and highly manipulated and managed situations that take millions of dollars to do in many cases. And that just didn't relate to me at all. And I knew there was lots and lots of other people in the same boat. And how did I get involved in all this? I watched hunting videos and I read magazines. That fired me up to go in the yard and shoot my bow and get ready to go. There's a lot of people out there like that. So we recognize we got a responsibility, and we do our best, and we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And occasionally over the years, we have accidentally, mentioned a county in a video or something like that. But that was not on purpose, trust me. We go through these things, and if it was missed, it was because it was a mistake. And there was emails and text messages and phone calls that happened after the fact that was like, guys, we cannot do this. We cannot let the name of a specific area slip that we're hunting on, because there's local folks that hunt that area. If you go online and you do your research and you decide that it's an area that you want to travel to and hunt on your own, more power to you. But if you're on there trying to figure out exactly where we're at, we don't try to divulge that information. I get asked that all the time. It's like, where'd you kill this buck? Or, I get asked from people like, how far from your house do you hunt? Where do you live? And all this stuff. Is like, no, guys.
Man,
hunt all over the place, and we don't get into that. But here's the thing: what we were talking about before the podcast. Some of that criticism is honest and good criticism that we need to hear. When we started, we got a few hundred views on a video. Now one may get 200,000. Like, that's more and more responsibility on us. We can't make mistakes, big ones in that regard, because it could potentially put way too much pressure on the resource in a small area. And trust me, we know. We lose sleep over it. Like, we are very, very careful about what we share and where we share it. So, like you mentioned the state thing. That was one of the criticisms we got a few years ago. It was like, I wish you guys would quit naming states. And sometimes we don't name them. If it's an area that I feel like is identifiable, we won't talk about a state. And people will get hate from the other side then. It's like, why don't you guys name the state? It's not interesting if you guys don't tell us where, at least which state you're at. It's not like you're naming the specific area. So there's no pleasing everybody. If we don't name the state, we're going to make them mad. If we do name the state, we're going to make them, the people that hate us, mad. But we try to do our best and use discretion as much as we can there, and still provide people with enough information to tell the story of what we're doing. We feel like the pros vastly outweigh the cons. Some people won't agree with that. Some people will say we've ruined public land, and to them, they hate our guts anyway. I've never met them. If you don't want to at least give me the time of day to meet me and know what the heck I'm about, then there ain't much I can do for you. All I can tell you is we keep going out there, a bunch of average Joes, and we're having success. And we ain't nothing special. We're just regular guys that love to hunt. And we still finding plenty of deer and turkeys out there. You just got to be willing to work for it and not make up a bunch of excuses as to why you're not having success out there. I've seen young people with tremendous positive attitudes go out there with very little knowledge about what they're doing and have success. And I've seen older guys that just, are grumpy and think the sky is falling and there's no deer left and there's no turkeys. And if you have that attitude about you, there ain't much I can do for you. Because you're going to struggle with that. If you walk into the woods and you see a guy, another hunter, 300 yards in, and you're like, throw your bow down and stomp out of there, there ain't much I can do for you. It's public land. And it was public way before we started doing this, and there was people out there, so.
One thing I wanted to bring, because it's an interesting conversation, and it's not even, I don't think it's like a spot burning comment, because we don't get that, well, I guess we have got that in the past. But it's more so about people complaining about overcrowding, because they want it exclusively for, I guess, them. And we've had some interesting conversations on the podcast about this with one of our good buddies, Michael Perry. He's been on the podcast a bunch in the past and killed some gigantic deer in Alabama. And he's been hunting for a long enough time in the state where, and specifically in Alabama, not every state's like this, but we've lost a lot of public. A lot of our public in Alabama is lease land. It's not state owned, but it's state managed. And he grew up hunting, in like the late 70s, 80s, when we had a lot more land than we have currently. And he's big about promoting public land and even some specific public land tracts for the aspect of our state agency specifically keeps track of how many people based off who's signing in are actually using the property, which could indicate how much funding they get for specific properties and, again, overall public use case. And there's a conversation we had there about overcrowding versus making sure that it's being used for public land activities, hunting being one of them. So that those public lands stay there, especially if it's not just federal ground, state managed ground. Again, but we've had a lot of comments about in the past, like, man, you are Southern outdoorsmen in our area of the country is causing a increase of overcrowding in some of the public. And we don't have as much public in Alabama as like some of these other states like Missouri, but still have some pretty big tracts. And outside of turkey season, first week of turkey season, 2 weeks of turkey season is crazy. It gets a little hectic, but outside of that, it's not too terrible. It's just one of those things that if you're not going to use it and have people that are advocating for it, there is a chance you could lose some of that.
Oh, yeah, we about did last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever. I mean, that's where social media was a positive because we were able to rally a lot of people around that and not lose some public land. If we don't have those voices, that's, like you said, if you don't have the interest, why keep it? There's no reason for them to keep it, especially when they have a terrible, huge deficit that they're trying to get rid of. Most agencies do, and obviously the federal government does. why keep it if nobody's using it? I mean, that could be a major problem. On the flip side, though, I totally understand the overcrowding thing, because you can't overcrowd it and then completely destroy the resource. You have to balance the two things together. You have to have a resource there, and ultimately everybody wants to have a quality experience out there. So I do get that to a certain degree. I just think that from one person to the next, the quality experience may be different. One of the guys that hates our guts, says all this stuff that's not true. I mean, they posted something not long ago that was like, these guys for a fact plant cellular cameras all over the country and pay guys in different states thousands of dollars to monitor cameras until they get a big buck on them. And then these guys from the hunting public travel there and shoot them. And I was like, they put this out and said they had a source and it was fact. And I usually don't engage. I just like, they hate our guts. There's not much I can do about it. But I just put on there, I was like, this is false, period. Like, I have 3 trail cameras in there right now. And probably 2 of them are going to sit there all year. I mean, that was completely false. And you see that happen sometimes. When somebody's making stuff up about you, they really don't like you for whatever reason.
Yeah,
they're going to suit their narrative, whatever it is. But there was a fellow that same one of them same guys that really didn't like us was saying that we were ruining the public land turkey hunting in all these places because we were killing too many turkeys. And I looked, and that guy's killing 15, 16 birds a year for the last several years. It's like, last time I checked, most states we go to, we buy a license, most of us do, and we go out there and we kill a turkey or 2, and then we leave. How many did you kill? So I get it to a certain degree, but I guess my point I'm making there is that one person's expectations are different from somebody else's. You may have a new hunter that's 18 years old that's just getting into bow hunting, and maybe he was inspired by a video on YouTube and he wants to go out there and shoot a spike. He's going to make some mistakes. He's new at this. You got a guy over there on the next ridge that's been hunting that public land for 20 years, and he's trying to kill that 150-inch buck that he's been hunting in there for 3 years. That's the only deer that big on that whole property. And here comes this 18-year-old down through the woods with his saddle on, trying to shoot a spike, and he ruins that guy's hunt. That guy goes home and he goes to the forum, and then he spews information out there about somebody like us. The reality is that you got 2 different people there using public land with 2 different goals in mind. And you're going to have to be okay with both of them because it's public. You're going to have to be okay with both of them. The only place where I tend to lean towards one side or the other is when it comes to kids. If you're talking about getting kids in the woods, take a bird out of my bag or take a tag from me or take time from me, let them have it. I'm fine with that so long as that results in them becoming hunters. If there's a lot of states out there that have high youth hunter recruitment, not high youth hunter retention, and that's a problem. So we need these kids to hunt and then enjoy it and be able to pass it down. But in order to do that, they've got to get hooked on it like we are at some point. They have to have opportunity to do that. And that's the reason we started to hunt in public, is because that opportunity to do that was drying up. Access is becoming more and more challenging. And there are so many young families that come up to us at these shows that are like, hey, thank you. My son is not watching Fortnite videos on YouTube. He's watching you guys and he wants to go to the woods. And I'll be honest with you, if there's a guy that's going out and killing 15 turkeys a year and griping at us versus that young family that's over there that's trying to get their kids outside and keep them out of the video games, I'm going to side on the young family than I am with the guy that's killed 300 longbeards. We got to share a little bit here.
And that's one thing I really appreciate about what y'all do is, like you were saying, when you guys came along, most of the hunting shows that were out there were entirely unrelatable. There were big properties, good for them. I'm not like saying that these people who were on these TV shows or whatever, like, good for them. Like, they made their money and they had this thing that they like to do. That's great. But it got like so serious to a point. And you guys came along, and y'all were average guys hunting public ground. But the main thing was y'all were just having fun. You're like a group of guys, and you're out there just literally having fun. And I remember, like, right when y'all first started, I think it was Zach shot a buck in Nebraska. It was like 125, 130-inch buck in Nebraska. And I remember talking to someone about it, and they were like, it's just cool to see a bunch of guys from Iowa get that fired up over a deer that size. You know, and it's like, y'all made it fun again. A lot of the content out there, just some of them were entertaining, a lot of them weren't, and most of them weren't relatable. But you guys kind of flipped the paradigm on that. So, and I think that's important. I mean, not only from the access standpoint, but just from hunting in general. Like, show people, like, man, this is fun. Like, you can go out there and you don't have to be that serious about it. You don't have to go shoot a big giant buck all the time. You just go out there with some friends, have fun, and if they care about it, they'll protect it.
That's right. Social aspect of hunting is a big deal, and that's been lost in our generation.